Weekly therapy can feel like opening up the tender places inside of you and offering those pieces little bits of attention, only to have to pack them away again, partially resolved when the clock runs out at 50 minutes, 60 minutes. And that stop-start cycle leaves many individuals feel like they're carrying heavy pain for a long time with no relief, or that it just takes forever to feel better. But weekly sessions for healing are not the only option. Hi, I'm Allie Christie Disney, a trauma therapist who works with smart, driven women facing anxiety, panic, and what can feel like the impossible weight of past experiences. If you've ever wondered what an EMDR intensive actually looks like and how the day flows and what it feels like to be inside one, this video is for you. I'll walk through the process so that you don't have to wonder what's on the other side of the unknown. You don't have to, ooh, that sounds scary, that sounds intense. So let's be honest. For many high achievers, weekly therapy can feel like putting your pain on layaway. You pull it out, you touch it, maybe you move it forward a little bit, but then you're forced to shove it back down when the session ends. And you just opened up all this pain, and it's like, ugh, now I have to put it back. And you're left walking back into your life, and you're still carrying the weight, and it feels like it might overrun into your work, your home. You're still triggered by work, your relationships. Those memories still don't seem to stay buried. And it makes sense that it feels exhausting, because it is exhausting. Whereas in contrast, an intensive gives you time, breathing room. And instead of circling the same pain over and over, you get to stay with it long enough at the heart for your nervous system to actually move it through all at once. So think of it like a bucket of water. We all have our bucket of painful experiences. And in weekly therapy, we might go in, we take a cup, and we get part of that cup processed through. But then you leave, and the bucket, it's still mostly full, and it still gets shaken up, it still comes to the surface. So with an intensive, that bucket of trauma, you get to take one cup at a time, work it through. Okay, that feels better. You get another cup. Oh, that feels better. And there you go, and there you go. And at the end of the process, you walk away with so much powerful healing. Now, a lot of therapists structure their intensives differently. Some add more breaks, some do more or less stabilization or resourcing or history taking. Some people weave in other modalities than EMDR, which I talk about a lot. And some are longer, some are shorter. But what I will talk about today is what I offer in my intensives and what intensives overall look like and feel like no matter who you work with. So first of all, we start pretty relaxed. Most clients arrive, they feel a little bit nervous, but also excited. They might wonder, am I going to get overwhelmed? Obviously, these painful experiences were overwhelming to begin with. So is this really going to help me? But the first part of the day is about getting comfortable, or orienting, to use therapy language. And that means you get comfortable in the space. We talk about your goals. We talk about your life. We talk about your resourcing, what helps you feel connected and motivated and happy and alive. And we also talk about who the important people or pets or places are in your world. And so that's about getting a general picture of your life. And you already will have filled out the intake paperwork. You will have done a free consult. So I, or your therapist, will have a lot of the background already. So that initial time together helps us to zoom out, look at your whole picture of your life, including the good stuff. And that stuff gets brought in the rest of the process. So next, once we have that broader picture and kind of the admin, the paperwork, the details out of the way, we start to tune in to what your goals are for the session, and specifically identifying the negative beliefs, the self-doubts, the symptoms or relationship patterns that you want to work on. Common ones are feeling not good enough, feeling unsafe, stuck spots with your partner, or the experience of panic, anxiety, triggers, things like that. Together, once we identify your overall goal, we start to identify the roots of the issues you're facing, the past memories or experiences that never fully healed, and the current triggers that keep stirring them up. And don't worry, you don't have to be aware of all that stuff at the beginning. That's what we figure out together. So together, you and I, or you and your therapist, will help discover those roots. So after we get our action plan, get our targets all identified, then we actually get to jump in and start to heal the stuck spots. And this is where the deep work happens. Usually in segments that last anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes, we go to each memory and we heal it. Using EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, we help your brain reprocess those memories at the roots that are the ones that keep feeding the panic and anxiety. And if you want to know exactly like what an EMDR session looks like, I'll link a video below to a really great example. And those segments, during the segments, the distress level of those memories just decrease. So it starts at the intensity it is at now when you think of it, and then it goes down, 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 down until it's really neutral. Like, I put socks on today. And at times in my intensives, I also integrate parts work through internal family systems. So that modality helps the parts of you that carry the weight of those memories to step forward. It allows them to do that. So instead of being like, that shameful part, just get away, I don't want to feel that. It actually helps that part to come forward, be met, experience real, powerful, deep healing in a way that that part gets to release the pain so that it won't keep spilling forward or taking over your life. And through this process, you really get to come back to self-trust and so many other good outcomes. So if you want to learn more about IFS, I will link another session video below so you can see like an in-depth example of that. So what is important to note is though the word intensive sounds obviously intense, the process is no more intense, and I would even say it's less intense than weekly therapy. And that is because of how the process pendulates that intense material. So when I first heard about intensive, I assumed the emotional experience wouldn't like up like this. Like the more you talk about stuff, the more exhausting that is, and it goes up. But in reality, the shift is more like this. It's a wave. And so like as you take each of those cups of trauma, you start with the intensity, but then it goes down. And then that right fit container allows your body to be like, oh, okay, that feels so much better. I'm not bothered by that anymore. And then you take another cup, and then that comes down. And this process is not about powering through. It's about giving your nervous system, your body, your parts of self, the space, the safety to heal the way you need. We take breaks. We get water. We take snacks. If you're doing a day long, we'll have a lunch break. And the key here is that your nervous system sets the pace, not the clock. So if something feels too fast or too intense, we slow it way down. We can chop it up so that we're not hitting an overwhelming level. And if your body's like, let's go, let's speed it up, I can kick through this stuff, we do that too. So usually those chunks then go like 20 to 60 to 90 minutes, and then we take breaks, we pause, and then we come back and keep doing more processing. So usually there's like a flow that follows, and it can feel like you're untangling a knot. In weekly therapy, you might get like one strand looked at, but in intensives, you get to loosen the whole knot, and by the end of the intensive process, the whole thing often entirely untangles, and it just feels clear, feels positive, feels safe. So at the end of the day, we don't just leave you like way deep in the fields. We make sure you feel steady and present before you leave. That might mean we do some grounding, containment exercises, reflecting on what shifted, or just making sure that your body feels calm again. And then we continue that process for as many days as we have scheduled. I regularly have clients tell me, I didn't know. They say, I didn't know I could feel this much lighter in just a few days. It feels like magic. And the truth is, it isn't magic. It's just your brain and body finally getting the time and safety that they need to do what they've been wanting to do all along, which is heal, to move the stuck stuff through so that it doesn't bother you anymore. I see the shift over and over from panic and anxiety to presence, and from self-doubt to self-trust. From carrying it all to just being a huge weight on your shoulders, that weight being lifted, and that release feeling amazing. So if you're curious about whether this format might be right for you, an intensive, you can learn more in my other videos or at my website, alliechristycounseling.com. I offer a free 45-minute no-pressure consultation, so you can ask me whatever questions you have, tell me about what you want to work on, and see if an intensive might be a good fit for you. Regardless of how you choose to heal, know that healing is possible. You don't have to carry the weight alone. See you in the next video.